Welcome to the third session. I hope so far so good for you. I hope you're not tired. We have got 3 papers. Ayşegül, İzer, Tuğçe, İşçi is going to be making the first presentation. They are the authors of the first paper. I guess Tuğçe is going to be giving the presentation. Yes, here I am. You can hear me well. Yes. Let me share my screen with you. Hello, this is Ayşegül. Tuğçe is going to be making this presentation and I'm here. Thank you. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Tuğçe İşçi from Mimar Sinan Fine Arts Faculty. I'm a resident there. I will be sharing our research with Professor Ayşegül İzer with you. Crisis triggers creativity. This pandemic has obliged a digital transformation. Learners and teachers have found themselves in a setting that's extraordinary for them. So the purpose of this research has been handling the distance education and basic design 1 and 2 courses, a review of teacher experiences, and student observations regarding methods and teaching practices. Why is this research important? When the student is taken as a focus, the design should be arranged accordingly, and the findings can be prepared, can be used for preparing the future designs. What do we never know at the moment? Visual communication design requires some critical thinking, different approaches, perspectives. And during this process, rather than teaching and learning, only teaching is taking place. What was unfamiliar to us, what emergency distant education is, was not known, and what sort of technologies can be made use of during this online education. As we come to the research questions, what sort of problems did students encounter? What sort of things facilitated their learning? What could be done to increase motivation of students? How about transfer of forms and material relationship? And what is more important is how to teach the experience itself and the thinking. Qualitative research method was used. There are 2 groups in the research group. The first one is those who received face-to-face education in the first term, and in the second term, they started online education because of the pandemic. The second group is those who came to the department after the pandemic started, so they had to continue with online education all through the terms. Open-ended questions were used, a total number of 15 questions under 4 groups. Factors impacting the harmonization process, technologies, desires, preferences, positive, negative impact, aspects of it. As regards to the methods, the gender, research group, open-ended questionnaires, analysis of the responses, reporting of the experience. In this table, you see the way, the methods used in basic design 1 and 2. This 1 and 2 are obligatory classes that are dependent to each other. 30 to 40 hours, 14 weeks, 13 theories are shared, assignments are provided. Additionally, in the first term of the pandemic, classroom setting was used, Zoom also used. In the second term of the pandemic, 2021-2022, we started to be more prepared. Microsoft Teams was used for online education. The chart continues with the topics in the teaching methods. I will be handling them already. Just one example I would like to share at the moment. The method changed, but the contents remained the same. The way something is expressed remained the same during the online education. As we come to the findings, when evaluated, results show that 24% of the first students said they were able to adapt themselves to the online education. 11% said they had difficulty. 31% said they had 31% had difficulty. 11% said they couldn't adapt themselves. The first group used online education just after the pandemic. So they were faced with the difficulties more than the second group. What are the factors that are negatively affecting the adaptation? Not being able to plan time, manage time, especially with regard to assignments, homework, and distraction takes place to a large extent. Some of them had to move their residence to a family member's, relatives' house, etc. They had some technical difficulties like internet bandwidth, computer problems. Health issues is another one, which is based on watching screen all the time. Psychology, losses that they had during the pandemic. What are the internal factors? These factors are, when compared to face-to-face, interaction is restricted. Reactions in facial gestures are not understood as well. There were some communication problems, inadequacy of the program. These were the issues they raised. What are the factors that facilitate adaptation, that has a positive impact on adaptation? Time and energy saving is number one for them. Without any transportation, need for transportation, they were able to access to education. So they had more time for homework and assignments. Of course, it's more comfortable to be working at home. It's not noisy, it's not distracting, they said. In spite of the pandemic, having this online education, facilitating a discipline. With regard to psychology, some students find this motivating, and technology access is also something positive that they handled. Also, they didn't need to spend money as usual, they said. The interest and support from the trainer, communication with the trainer, following up the recordings were very important for them. The digital working method has been important. They started to get adapted themselves. Eskiz evaluation also is another point that they raised in a positive manner. These are the 5 main topics about findings, assignment briefs. 58% said the briefs were explanatory. These were given to the students in the first instructions that were given when the pandemic broke out. When the first term of pandemic finished, when online education was decided to continue, online digital assignments were transferred to online setting, and examples were multiplied, and important points have been added up on the briefs as they were receiving it in written, but also these briefs are explained verbally during the courses. That was important, they said. With regard to the process of design excuse production, peer learning is reduced. They said they started to question things more after some time. And they said they adopted awareness, they raised awareness in this regard. Eskiz production was like this in the past, with their own pace, in their own studying setting. They started to have more efficient work. Traditional digital working style, basic design 1 and 2, because of their design, hand, eye, and brain coordination is carried out. The traditional methods are used there, like pasting, etc. But in addition to that, in basic design too, program knowledge is required, like posters, information designs, such things are produced. But in the first phase of the pandemic, online education digital production logic was easily captured by students. That was our observation. Eskiz evaluation methods in face-to-face education, collage was provided in the corridors. Eskiz were shared online afterwards, as you know. And students were exhibiting their work with screen sharing. So design terminology was used and submission presentation skills were improved. Verbal feedback is important for students, apparently. Written feedback are important as they are permanent, and everybody was seeing others' evaluations in a written manner, which was helping them. Assignment periods in the first phase of the pandemic, students were saying they had difficulty with time. So upon the request of the students, upon the decision of the majority, delivery times have been extended. Many of them found it easier, but still some of the students had difficulty, continuing difficulty. And some of the students said it's more efficient to have a limited time. They started to become faster and they finish it timely when they have a restricted time. Some of them said so. Students had some external factors that were preventing them to engage with the classroom. Psychological factors are also important. The group of students for the questionnaire, the first group was more adaptive. That spirit of belonging, communication skills, being more socialized with friends. The first group was better. But those who had to continue online education for 2 years, that never met their friends, their expectations were higher than the practice, the reality. Workshop use. Workshop is very important for developing opinions. When the interaction is reduced, collective work synergy is reduced. Dialogue does not take place. In online settings, this interaction is difficult. In order to increase motivation, some exhibitions, cultural visits were taking place. Online events took place, and we wanted to make sure that students attend such online events. In basic design too, in order to have an understanding of the concept of rhythm, a workshop was carried out in the past. We thought about what we can do similarly online. So throughout the course, students and lecturer was sharing the screen all the time. The cams were on, and immediate responses were given to students to encourage them while making visuals with music. And students said they weren't feeling like they are in a course at the time, in a class. Paper is another application that was used. Every week, the studies that were produced by students were exhibited on Instagram. Perception of discipline and belonging is fostered with physical setting. User-friendly platforms like Teams facilitate disciplinary work among students. Forms, equipment, visual equipment, transfer of knowledge, these had to be delayed because example materials being shared online is not enough. You need to touch the material to see the size, the ratio, to have a better understanding of the size and ratio. It's more useful. So student-centered training model has been redefined in online education. Teaching is not as disciplinary as in the past. The findings that were obtained show that in spite of the negative conditions, students get adapted to the online setting, and they have a more efficient setting. So as a result, the outcome that we have achieved is that teamwork is still important. Workshop-focused courses are very important. A hybrid design is very important to have for increase production and many others. So whether it be face-to-face or online or hybrid, students should be encouraged to be creative. These are the students that we have conducted online education all through 2 terms, and we had an opportunity to meet in person in the end. Thank you very much.